News Now. We are less than 30 seconds away from Erie News Now election coverage starting at 4:45. We're live on the air and on Facebook this morning. Make sure you tune in. It starts in just seconds. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday to you. I'm Isaac Petcash. Thanks for being with us here on Erie News Now. Election coverage you can count on. We do have a lot to get to today. Let's jump right into it, starting first with a Supreme Court decision that will affect how Pennsylvania votes could possibly be counted. Let's take a look at this article here to start off your day. It was announced just yesterday the Supreme Court would not be granting a pre-election review to a new Republican appeal. Now, if you remember, this Republican appeal came from the Pennsylvania State Senate and State House that argued that it was immoral, in essence, to allow a 3-day extension to approve mail-in and absentee ballots. The article goes on to read, the court did leave the possibility that justices could take up and decide after the voting whether that 3-day extension could be considered improper. So what we know right now is that this 3-day extension for mail-in ballots, which goes all the way until 5 p.m. on November 6th, would allow you to put in your ballot any time before then. Right now it's going to stand. We don't know whether or not that will change depending on the Supreme Court's further rulings, but the Supreme Court saying right now that legislation stands. There's nothing in the way of it not going to overturn right now. So the Supreme Court leaving that in place. That's the big news out of Pennsylvania. There also is big news out of North Carolina this morning. Let's go ahead and look at this article as well here. Late Wednesday, right after the Pennsylvania ruling, the Supreme Court of the United States declined to block the lower court rulings in North Carolina that would allow 6 extra days for accepting ballots sent by mail. The justices left the later deadline in place, which is a victory for Democrats in a presidential battleground state. So 6 extra days in North Carolina to send in your ballots. Unlike Pennsylvania, just 3. That ruling in North Carolina is going to stand as well. So as we look at this 5-3 vote, both in North Carolina and in Pennsylvania, we are starting to see a consistent trend in which the Supreme Court is making quick rulings on certain states, depending on whether or not they have extra deadlines for mail-in ballots or absentee ballots. So a very interesting story there, as we've been seeing a lot of things going on with the election as we speak right now. Want to move on to some local news this morning, some local election news, something that we've been having our eye on here for the last couple of days, and that is the Second Lady of the United States is going today to be in Edinburgh. Taking a look this morning, Second Lady of the United States, Karen Pence, will be coming in to support President Donald Trump in a rally on Thursday. That, of course, will be in Edinburgh, like we mentioned, and the event will start at 1:30 p.m. Now, according to Trump and Vice President Mike Pence's Make America Great Again agenda, Second Lady Pence will be speaking at Whispering Tree Manor in Edinburgh, and the doors are open at 12:30. No word on whether or not tickets are still left available. We do have a link, though, on our website if you are interested in purchasing tickets for that event. So we've seen the president, we've now seen the Second Lady of the United States, and Democratic challenger Joe Biden all make their way to Erie, just stressing the importance of this election and how important Erie County specifically is for several of these Democratic and Republican leaders. Other states, though, are important as well, and we've seen over the past couple of days the candidates continue to push in several swing states. That didn't change yesterday. CNN's Melissa Rainey has our report.
Long lines and cold temperatures aren't holding voters back, as scenes like this are common around the country right now. More than 75 million Americans have reportedly already voted. That's more than half of the entire turnout in the 2016 election. This 101-year-old woman proud to be part of that number.
It just made me feel so good. And now I know I am somebody.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidates are amping up the push for votes. President Donald Trump stopping in Arizona Wednesday to announce a new plan aimed at helping the Hispanic community.
The American Dream Plan will bring more than 2 million new jobs to Hispanic communities.
Former Vice President Joe Biden campaigning in his home state of Delaware Wednesday, criticizing long lines and cold temperatures aren't holding voters back, as scenes like this are common around the country right now. More than 75 million Americans have reportedly already voted. That's more than half of the entire turnout in the 2016 election.
And we do apologize for that technical malfunction. That was CNN's Melissa Rainey with the report there. But again, just going to show how critical these swing states are for the candidates. We mentioned Pennsylvania, Arizona, another one as well that has been polling fairly close. You look at the Rust Belt, Michigan, Wisconsin are two critical states as well. And as we look at the campaign trails for today, the Sun Belt, if you will call it, is a critical place as well. Democratic challenger Joe Biden expected to campaign in Florida today, as is President Trump. The president expected to have two campaign rallies today. The first one happening at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida at about 1:30 p.m. The president and the First Lady will be making the trip according to Donald Trump's official campaign schedule. The president then will move to North Carolina, where he'll speak in Fayetteville about 6:30 p.m. Florida and North Carolina, two states the president was able to win in 2016, defeating then Democratic challenger Hillary Clinton for the presidency. So right now we, of course, know how important those swing states are. Another important swing state was the state of Arizona. That's where the president held a couple of rallies yesterday. Who would be Vice President Kamala Harris if Joe Biden was to get elected, also holding a rally in Arizona, about 30 miles apart on Wednesday, just 6 days before the election day. So battleground states continuing to be a key player in this election. Let's go ahead and take a quick look now at where Pennsylvania stands according to polling averages. We go back to a Real Clear Politics polling average. Again, taking a conglomeration of the latest and greatest polls and putting them together to see where the numbers stand. Again, the latest numbers that we have on this poll right now sees Joe Biden up 3.8 points in the state of Pennsylvania. Those are numbers from Tuesday, October 27th. Now, Biden's lead has been as much as 7 points in the state over the last couple of weeks, but the lead has shrunk to about half that total as we stand right now. Hillary Clinton, going into Election Day, did also have a slight lead in Pennsylvania, but as we know, the president was able to convert that state by just about a point. So right now, the continuous difficulty to predict the battleground states, especially where we know there's going to be some turmoil, if you will, knowing how close those states are. Well, one of the things that is not close at the moment is the stock market. We have been noting how, as the election draws near, the stock markets are taking a plunge, and that was the same case yesterday. Let's take a look at where the stock markets were at on Wednesday, the 27th, falling nearly 900 points. Actually, more than 900 points yesterday on Wednesday. That, of course, was a critical loss for investors. Let's take a look at the numbers specifically from what we're seeing on Wall Street. The number on your left is, the far left, I should say, is Monday's numbers. The number in the middle is Tuesday, and the number on the right is Wednesday. 943 points is where the stock markets close on Wednesday. You take a look at those combined numbers, quick math, and that gives you just about 1,700 points of loss in the combined three-day total. Now, many stock experts attribute this to three things. Number one, the election and the uncertainty of who will be president. Number two is the concern over no stimulus package before Election Day. And the third one is due to some lockdowns and shutdowns that have been reinstated in places like Chicago, Newark, New Jersey, and other areas around the United States with the increasing spike in COVID-19 cases. So we are seeing the stock market plunge right now, as has been the case for the last few days. There is some good news, however, on this Thursday morning, as the stock futures well, they're all in the green right now. Taking a look at the current live board as we are trying to predict what the stock market will look like when it opens on this Thursday morning. Right now, the Dow Jones, that number in the middle, 159 points ahead and rising as we see right now. That is good news for investors on this Thursday. The S&P 500 just about up 24 points, and the NASDAQ hovering a little over 110 points in the green. So could there be some recovery after 3 consecutive days of losses? Well, not out of the question just yet, but certainly right now it seems to be the case that there is a potential for some good news out of the stock market right now. Also, the other thing we want to speak on when it comes to the stock market is if this could potentially predict the presidency. Let's go ahead and take a look at an article here that we are seeing from Fortune 500. A lot of individuals, especially stock market experts, believing that it could possibly depend, the stock market could determine the election. There's a so-called presidential predictor. It's dubbed by Sam Stivall. He's an S&P analyst and chief investment strategist on Wall Street. Right now, the Wall Street experts and that presidential predictor has an 88% success rate. Now, here's how it works. If the S&P 500 rises from August through October, the incumbent party normally is elected back into the White House. However, if the S&P falls over that 3-month stretch, the White House will normally flip. Taking a look at the numbers from this year as we currently sit right now, the S&P 500 predictor was up 7.5%. Of course, that changed on Wednesday after the stocks took a little bit of a plunge in terms of the fact of almost 1,000 points on Wednesday. So certainly a lot of, again, as we mentioned, we use the words up in the air, but the stock market's a potential predictor, if so, of what we're seeing right now on Wall Street here. And we're, of course, looking for some stocks to rebound today, if anything else, if the current numbers on the stock futures were to project correctly. Well, of course, we're continuing along with our election coverage you can count on. We're preparing right now for Erie News Now Sunrise. We have plenty of voting coverage to get to you on this Thursday morning. We're going to be taking a look at Erie County and what exactly that means for our area. We're also going to be taking a look at some other things as well on this Thursday morning. And as I am speaking, we have a guest with us, and that guest is none other than Mark Soliday. We're going to get him on the air here in just one moment. Let's go ahead and bring up him right now. Hello, Mark. There you are.
Good morning, Isaac, and good morning, everybody. Yeah, we're about less than 3 minutes away from Erie News Now Sunrise, so really quickly want to tell you what we have in store. Focused, obviously, on the election, perhaps what folks may be able to bring and not bring to their polling places if they're going to be doing that next Tuesday. There are some rules elections officials are kind of reminding folks about this morning. So we'll be live with a look at that. And we'll also talk about those mail-in ballot concerns, whether or not folks are going to be able to get those ballots counted in a timely manner, of course, all playing off that Supreme Court ruling that I know that you are closely following here. So, yeah, a very busy 2 hours of Erie News Now Sunrise. It is wall-to-wall election coverage you can count on, starting here with you, Isaac, at 4:45 in the morning, and just really keeping it going all day long.
Like we mentioned, as we're getting near the end of the week, still so many things going on, and that's why we're going to let Mark go and get to the desk here, because he's going to be on in just about 2 minutes. So we'll take a quick look outside here at the Capitol building as Mark gets set to go to the desk. But again, as we're talking and resetting our top headlines, we will be talking more about that Supreme Court decision out of the state of Pennsylvania and what that means for people like you in Erie County with mail-in ballots and absentee votes, people who may not get their ballot in until after Election Day. So right now, that 3-day window still standing as we currently speak for those mail-in ballots. Also, of course, that ruling in North Carolina allowing the state to count votes for up to 6 days past Election Day leads several experts to believe that there could be a delay much past Tuesday in figuring out who exactly wins the presidency. We heard, of course, from several chief economic strategists in Washington, D.C., that the election could be decided possibly a week, if not more, after the election day on Tuesday, November 3rd. But right now what we're seeing is a consistent trend that the Supreme Court is making decisions on several cases in several states. And so what that means is that Pennsylvania could also see another decision as well. The Supreme Court would, of course, have until Monday or Tuesday to make that decision. One thing we do want to note as well with these Supreme Court decisions, you're seeing that the rulings are 5-3. That's because newly acclaimed Justice Amy Coney Barrett has not been making the decision. She cites just a lack of being able to read the information, not having enough time to be able to have that to help her out when it comes to making those decisions. So for the moment right now, it's 8 Supreme Court justices making those decisions for the state rulings. Well, our coverage on elections continue here on this Thursday morning. I'm done at the alert desk, but we have much more. Erie News Now Sunrise starts right now.